Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги! Меня зовут Екатерина Шерстобитова, и я представляю компанию Месса Франкфурт Рус, организатора выставки Techtextil Russia. Мы продолжаем серию видеоинтервью в рамках Techtextil Academy Online, специальной программы онлайн-встреч с экспертами индустрии. И в ближайшие месяцы мы познакомим вас с ведущими представителями сектора технического текстиля, которые будут обмениваться опытом, знаниями и актуальными новостями рынка. Сегодня мы пригласили особого гостя, который вот уже 30 лет знает все о динамике отрасли изнутри и тесно взаимодействует с ключевыми игроками рынка. О том, как 2020 поменял порядок внутри рынка технического текстиля и чего нам ожидать в 2021, мы поговорим с Михаэлем Енеке, бренд-менеджером направления «Технический текстиль» компании Месса Франкфурт GmbH и директором выставок Techtextil и Texpertise во Франкфурте.
Спасибо, Katja, for introducing me. Warm welcome from Frankfurt in a end of March, sunny, warming up, so really springtime. And regretfully, we have to do it via video. Normally, I would prefer to be in Moscow to see you and the audience personally.
Михаэль, так как вы представляете портфолио текстильных выставок компании Месса Франкфурт, так называемую Texpertise Network, мы хотели бы обсудить с вами, как 2020 год повлиял на сектор технического текстиля в целом и с какими основными вызовами столкнулись компании в 2021. Но сначала расскажите, пожалуйста, нашим зрителям вкратце о том, какие главные рынки и области применения охватывает сеть Texpertise Network.
Okay, so let's go into a presentation. I've prepared some slides because it better helps to get a better understanding what's going on. So you mentioned Texpertise Network. We as Messe Frankfurt Group are the biggest organizer of textile shows all around the globe. We think in so-called clusters, which is apparel, fabrics, and fashion. It's red, it's interior and contract textile in green, technical textiles and textile processing, which is my responsibility, blue, and textile care in gray. Being the biggest organizer, we have to look back to 2019 for the given situation. So we organized in 1958 trade shows in 12 countries, including Russia, and welcoming 23,000 international exhibitors and 600,000 international buyers. So this makes us number one in the world. Talking about the markets and now looking into technical textiles. Technical textiles are a big driver and taking a bigger portion of the textile market step by step globally. There are figures around. One figure I picked up is the global market for technical textiles is projected to reach approximately $222 billion by 2025, compared to approximately $171 billion in 2019. The drivers were partly are the improving economic condition of countries, technology advancement, new applications, but also seeing the healthcare sector special, let's say, impacts from the actual situation, sportswear, environmental protection, and so on. So there are many drivers around. I have selected some countries to give a better insight. I will not go through all the slides in detail, but just mention certain things. So in Germany, technical textiles stand meanwhile for far over 50%. People talk about even up to 60%, 55 to 60%. To give you a comparison, I joined Messe Frankfurt in 1992, and the ratio of technical textiles were about 18%, 1/8. So you see the development within a period of roughly 30 years. For sure, there was, due to the pandemic, there was a decrease also of the turnover in the textile and apparel industry. but the loss or the drop in technical textiles were less than in textile for the garment industry. So the perspective from that point of view are that technical textiles will recover. And very interesting information I picked up in Bloomberg was that Germany ranks the #1 of the innovation index before South Korea and Singapore. Coming to China, meanwhile considered to be the biggest single market for technical textiles. They are also extending their production. And due to the pandemic situation and so on, especially medical products, many of those based on nonwovens did a great step forward. Nevertheless, all the, let's say, infrastructural measurements, activities, and so on, also push the technical textile sector. Coming to India, very interesting, because the Indian government, even in these days, initiated some activities, initiatives. So they set up a national technical textile mission with a budget of approximately 170 million euro for the period starting this year until 2024. This project or initiative includes research and development, promoting awareness amongst users, enhancing India's export by 2024, and also investment in human resources. Also new and accompanying this activity is a production link incentive scheme in 10 key sectors identified by the government, which includes man-made fibers and technical textiles. The total budget is 1.25 billion euro. There's regretfully no information how much of this is dedicated to man-made fibers and technical textiles. Nevertheless, the growth rate reported is supposed to be 15 to 20% of the domestic market size of technical textiles, maybe with some delay due to the pandemic situation. And major drivers in India are for sure healthcare and all infrastructure investments. Washa, you better know than me about your own market and the figures. Nevertheless, it was also interesting for me to see that the Russian textile industry, despite the pandemic situation, showed a growth of approximately 16% between February 2022 to February this year. The plan, still ongoing towards 2025 to develop an integrated manufacture chain of synthetic fibers, including technical textile production. Like in other countries, I've shown you India beforehand, technical textiles are considered a new innovative tool for developing the Russian textile industry. And seeing, for example, Germany, looking back now, I'm coming from the exhibitor side. For many companies, this will be the only way to survive in the future. United States, also good information on that. The investments in fiber, yarn, fabric, and other non-apparel textiles increased by 83% between 2009 until the end of 2020. So also last year, the situation was not that bad at all. I got information from a German technology manufacturer that his sales regarding the US automotive industry was even better than in the year before. So very interesting development. Largest application sectors again is medical for sure, industrial and automotive. and also based on investments and transitions to PPE, personal protective equipment, due to the COVID-19. This has been a trend in all the other countries as well. Many companies out of the textile industry and even the clothing industry switched parts of their production towards medical masks and so on. To sum it up, the challenges the industry is faced with is for sure the economic situation, also due to the pandemic. Nevertheless, seeing it more different, the situation also varies from user industries. Medical is doing well, other industries are suffering or in between. It's important, and many people and companies have seen this in the last year. If you depend on the single industry or single supplier, this can be very challenging. The growth of the business geographically is supposed to recover. The only question is when. There were some good signals in autumn last year, being partly corrected, but basically the feedback I receive is that people expect business back to normal starting hopefully second half of this year, but back to normal maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, depending on the branches. So it's important to see at these puzzle stones, which makes a company successful, which is also valid when you join the technical textile market or any other business. And seeing the given examples, I think these days research and development and marketing are the biggest keys for success or to go through this crisis and to put the company on track for the future.
Подводя итоги, так неожиданно возникший и затянувшийся кризис и локдаун вынудили многие компании искать новые пути выхода из него, применяя экономические, маркетинговые и новые технологические решения. По вашему мнению, какие страны на пути преодоления и выхода из кризиса смогли перейти и успешно перейти от инновационных разработок к непосредственному их внедрению?
I have no slide for that, but in general, especially those countries being traditionally very strong in technical textiles and being already established in that business, they did a good job. For example, Germany, South Korea, Taiwan, but also the States and so on, because you see it from those information regarding new materials, new products coming up. Overall, to say the industry in general, or the companies in general, managed so far, what I've been told, to find their way through the crisis, for sure with some hurdles, some damages and so on, but are still existing, still alive, and looking forward, especially towards second half of the year, next year.
Не секрет, что продукция из технического текстиля широко известна своими свойствами и активно применяется в многочисленных областях, такие как аэрокосмическая, медицинская, автомобильная, упаковочная и прочее. Подскажите, какие из этих областей применения усилили свои позиции во время пандемии, а какие до сих пор находятся на стадии восстановления?
Okay, so you may know these 12 icons here. These were invented already in the 90s by Messe Frankfurt, by me, to identify industries for specific marketing, because the technical textiles are in use or can be used in endless applications. And this is the key for success. that new materials, new technologies, and new applications are always coming up. We have defined in those days 12, which are still existing, and everybody is using such for description which areas they serve, they supply. The associations are using those for their members. So very general, because I will not go through all 12 in detail. The building sector or infrastructure is always a big market driver. Just looking out of my window here, the constructions are going on. So the building industry we are setting up a new hall. There are skyscrapers under construction for living, but also for offices, road construction, railway, and so on. And in all these, let's say, industries, technical textiles are in use. Carbon concrete are keywords, membrane structures, and so on. Cloth-tech, but here we are not talking about garments. We are talking about functional and smart textiles for fashion and leisure, and so on, using sensors. This has done a big push forwards. The borderlines between, is it fashion or is it already like a protective or work clothes, they are mixing up, they are joining partly. This is also a big market driver, because this area is partly the first step on the transformation from being just an apparel textile producer to get more into technical textiles. MedTech did a big push forward just due to all the hygiene products based on textiles, but also high-tech medical things like fiber-based implants are getting more and more. For example, there is a development ongoing to use for a new annulus closure device. It's for the backbone, based on textile technology to be applied in a spinal surgery. This is based on textiles, and we have already awarded this idea, this first research step, already a couple of years back with the Techtextil Innovation Award. Mobile tech transport, here we talk about, in general, lightweight structures to save fuel, for example, smart textiles for the aircraft industry, automotive, railway, and space travel. A lot of things are going on here, thinking about the e-mobility. And also one aspect is here to reduce the weight of the cars. And so also here, big things are in. A regular passenger car is supposed to have approximately 30 kilograms of textiles already inbuilt. But now I'm giving you very interesting examples of different uses. So the textile antennas for use in space. So for instance, the folding arms which link satellites to their reflectors are made from carbon fiber reinforced plastics. The reflector itself, the core of the antenna, uses an ultrafine knit of gold-coated wolfram, thinner than a human hair. The fabric conducts electricity and has a reflective surface. Textile facade soaking up pollutants from the air. This is a translucent see-through anti-NOx textile facade in Hamburg. It demonstrates that fibers have potential uses way beyond their ability to create eye-catching designs. Installed on the outside of the office block, the new style facade made from polyester has been swallowing up nitrogen oxides from the air and absorbing them chemically. At the same time, so besides the air cleansing properties of facade, which has built-in sensors to monitor its efficiency in cleaning up the atmosphere can also act as an external sunscreen. This is important because we have seen last year, for example, in Germany, in Frankfurt, the summers are getting hotter, more sunny. We have no air cons in, so people spend more money for sun shading and so on. So it's also an aspect due to the pandemic. The interior sector also did a good step forward. What's SUP? It's stand-up paddling. It's been the hottest trend sports over the last 2 summers, especially here in Germany. Stand-up paddling or SUP. Thus, in the rigid composite boards, along with the styropor core and bamboo, you will also find glass and carbon fibers. And even as an inflatable SUP, you find it also. It's easy to carry. The boards which you blow up with air makes great use of fibers. The company Fanatic is behind these developments, and the inflatable stand-up paddling boats weighing approximately 8 to 11 kilograms only, so you can just carry it easy ongoing. As you see here down left, you find more information about these and also the already given examples in the Techtextil blog. Mist Against Thirst, also a development which we awarded a couple of years back with the Techtextil Innovation Award. A textile netting is now being used to harvest water from mist and fog. Installment of a water harvesting farm has been done, made of textiles in Morocco. The cloudfisher, which is reminiscent of a string of volleyball nets, is made up of fine fiber structures and is intended to catch fresh water from the banks of fog that draw in from the sea. The water is gained in this way, drips into collector channels and flows into cisterns. So I've been told it works, and it's the beginning, maybe also for other farms like this in other very dry areas. And last but not least, already mentioned, is the e-mobility, e-cars like Tesla, for example. The challenge is what to do when they go up in flame. You know, due to the battery, it's not that easy. And a German company has developed a textile recovery system with the resounding name Liba Rescue. Like a blanket that one snuggles down under on a cold winter's night, the product is used to fully enclose the burning e-vehicle. According to the company, 2 firemen require no more than 3 minutes for this. So you see, technical textiles are everywhere, can save life or can make life easier.
И предлагаю перейти к выставкам Техтекстиль и Texpertise, 2 ведущим бизнес-платформам индустрии. К сожалению, обе выставки, которые обычно проходили раз в 2 года параллельно друг другу, были отменены в связи со сложившимися ограничениями. Как на это отреагировали экспоненты? И поделитесь их ожиданиями, пожалуйста. И на ваш взгляд, станет ли эта вынужденная пауза неким драйвером для индустрии и для разработки инноваций? Давайте начнем с Techtextil.
Okay, so regretfully, we had to postpone both shows from this May to next year. I was still optimistic in October, November that we can make it, but the development of the pandemic makes it not possible. So we had a very good situation before the pandemic started in March last year. So as a review, we had an excellent booking status end of February last year. Over 80% of Techtextil and over 65% of Texpertise exhibitors already re-signed for this year. And then the pandemic started. Positive was that till the end of last year, just a few companies canceled. So the situation is to sum it up, the companies would like to have physical meetings again. So we had to take the decision to postpone the shows, like many other shows and show organizers did. So we will take place next year in June. It will be both shows, Techtextil and Texpertise, will be hybrid events. That means we will have the physical show plus digital platforms, digital features. And the feedback so far is very positive regarding the date and also the hybrid version or the hybrid solution, because the people I talk to are expecting that especially next year, business is more back to normal and so on. But for sure, everyone is optimistic that it already starting up this year to develop positively. So going more in detail. So Techtextil shows the whole process chain. You see here the product groups of Techtextil, which represent the exhibitor side. And you see from the idea, all the production or producing technologies are shown here. And then we have the textile materials like the real first raw material fibers and yarns. We have all the textile materials and so on. Because it was questioned, the numbers, the red numbers in brackets show the number of companies having these products in Techtextil 2019. The source is the catalog, respectively media package, and for sure there are multiple mentionings. And it's also a fact that not everyone is listed everywhere. So this shows the minimum offer. You can easily see that putting the textile surfaces together, woven fabrics and so on, non-wovens, and also functional parallel textiles, this is the biggest portion of Techtextil. Second is then, or more or less the same listing, fibers and yarns and the production technologies and all the related aspects. So the message is, if you come to Frankfurt having ideas, looking for materials, technology, you will find the answer.
Выставка «Техтекстиль», как мы уже сказали, собирает всех главных представителей рынка на одной площадке, таким образом являясь неким индикатором индустрии и актуальное состояние рынка. Поделитесь, какие страны возглавляют список представителей продуктовых групп, которые занимают большую часть экспозиции?
Well, top 5 countries are, for example, number 1 is Germany. Here in Frankfurt, it's Germany. And then followed by, it's no ranking now, right now, I'm just doing it out of my mind, is France, Italy, China, and might be Belgium. So these are those countries with the biggest number of exhibitors, being even under the top 10.
И говоря об индустрии технического текстиля, нельзя не отметить, что станки и оборудование занимают особое место в разработке инноваций. Также способствуют развитию продуктовой линейки. Благодаря прогрессу, который случился за последние годы, производство технического текстиля стало более гибким, экологически ответственным и оцифрованным. Параллельно с Techtextil-выставка Texpertise прочно удерживает позицию главной площадки для презентации последних разработок и оборудования одновременно с финишной продукцией. Расскажите, пожалуйста, как обстоят дела с этой выставкой и как эта отрасль в целом пережила 2020 год?
Okay, so you have seen in the slide before that also in Texpertise we had very good and excellent booking situation last year. For sure, here it's the picture is not that easy because the majority of the text process exhibitors stands for also technology for the apparel industry. But for sure, a big portion is also for interior and technical textile processing. For sure, the apparel related business is under pressure with big drops. All the companies I spoke to in the last couple of weeks and months reported that the clothing part is shrinking, decreasing, partly really dropping hard, while, for example, medical application, medical products, but also interior is doing well. And for sure, also those things dedicated to the, let's say, technical textile products. And this is also one of the aspects why it makes sense and is beneficial for the exhibitors to have Techtextil and Texpertise together in the main markets. The Texpertise as well, you see it here, shows the process chain starting when the textile is already produced. So the textile material is the starting point for that. And for sure, you then start with the computer-aided design and so on, cutting, making, trimming, textile finishing, stitching or sewing is a major part of that. So, and this concept makes Texpertise #1 in the world, with not by size, but by quality, with regard that innovations are normally shown first in Texpertise Frankfurt. Like Techtextil, I also put the number of listings of exhibitors from Texpertise 2019 in brackets. And very important is because there are sometimes misunderstandings that Texpertise stands for textile technology in general. It's about textile processing technology. Textile technology for producing textile materials is Techtextil. And that's important to better understand the concepts. And while we are, for example, with Texpertise in countries where Techtextil is not existing.
И говоря об ивент-индустрии, которая стала одним из наиболее пострадавших секторов экономики в силу массовой отмены крупнейших международных мероприятий, сегодня, когда в некоторых странах были сняты ограничения и офлайн-выставки снова заняли свое место, все же не просто вернуть всех экспонентов и удовлетворить их ожидания в части посетительского потока. Поделитесь, какие методы и инструменты продвижения выставок вы используете сейчас в ответ на нынешние вызовы рынка?
Okay, so actually we have no plans to just do the shows 100% digital only. The feedbacks we received from many companies we talked to over the last months was to say they like to have a physical show, and especially with regard to the specialties, the special products of Techtextil and Texpertise, they prefer a digital offer only in combination with a physical show. So we have plans we had plans already for this year before postponing the show to next year. For next year, we work on a more developed concept because we have some more time. The digital tools are developing and so on. We will start with the promotion for Techtextil and Texpertise in Frankfurt, beginning of June for next year's June. And then we will tell our exhibitors what to expect. But for sure, features will be networking, meetings, virtual meetings, seminars given by the exhibitors and so on. But the starting point is the physical show here. This is also the way our shows international are going. we will have the first Techtextil show this year internationally in Shanghai in end of June, followed by the States, Russia, and India. And all these shows will have not only the physical, but also digital amendments office. This is a trend, and we would like to do a good job, and but we also follow the feedbacks and let's say requests by the industry.
Михаэль, и, наконец, последний, но очень важный вопрос. Мы все очень надеемся увидеться лицом к лицу в ближайшем будущем, несмотря на то, что многое уже не будет прежним. Расскажите нашим зрителям, какие новые меры и правила будут применяться на предстоящих выставках Месса Франкфурт, чего ждать и к чему готовиться экспонентам и посетителям из России.
So we follow the regulations and rules given by the authorities. From the health ministries from Germany, but also from the state of Hessen and the city of Frankfurt. So we have still existing and approved a concept which would make shows possible in the given situation. That means we work with wider aisles, we work with bigger stands, with disinfection stations, and maybe coming, because we haven't yet done a show here on the venue since February last year, also with testing offers, whatever. So the situation today is that shows in Germany are still not possible. They are forbidden by regulations, this regulation is valid since November last year. We hope that, let's say, in the coming weeks, this will be changed, because we are looking forward to our shows in June and July here on the venue. But again, for Frankfurt, we have an approved concept, approved by the authorities to make a show happen. For sure, nobody knows regarding travel restrictions. Nobody knows whether people like to travel, even if they are allowed. But these are things we consider, we evaluate, and we for sure follow all the news and the latest developments.
И со своей стороны мы хотим отметить, что Месса Франкфурт РУС, как организатор выставок в России, прилагает все усилия и следует всем обязательным мерам предосторожности, чтобы участники и экспоненты и посетители наших выставок чувствовали себя комфортно и безопасно. Михаэль, благодарю вас за эту интересную беседу. Я уверена, что наша аудитория получила массу полезной информации из первых уст. Тем не менее, коллеги, если остались какие-то вопросы к Михаэлю, которые мы не успели задать в рамках этого эфира, пожалуйста, направляйте их на электронный адрес, указанный в описании эфира, и мы направим вам ответ.
Yeah. So thank you, Katja, for the questions. I hope I answered those. Thanks the audience for joining us today. For sure, a virtual meeting like today can never replace fully a personal meeting. So I've always enjoyed traveling to Moscow, and I hope this will be possible again in the, hopefully, maybe this year, but most hopeful next year. So just a final word from my end. There are some more slides to showing where we are with our shows globally, and also some figures. You find my contact details, or you send those to Katja and my colleagues in Moscow. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you, and I hope to see many of you somewhere around the world, or even at least in Moscow or in Frankfurt. Thank you, спасибо.
И на этом я с вами прощаюсь. Переходите по ссылкам в описании эфира, подписывайтесь на нас в соцсетях. Узнайте больше о выставках Techtextil в мире. И, конечно, мы ждем вас на выставке Techtextil Russia, которая состоится с 14 по 16 сентября в экспоцентре.